Lauren Hogan is with us now. She is in Shanghai, where she's been for several years now, an American living abroad. Lauren, thanks for coming on with us. Can you explain what life has been like in Shanghai during this coronavirus outbreak? How have things been different and where things stand right now?
Sure. Thanks, Adam, for having me as well. So for over a month, a lot of businesses have been closed. We've not been able to manage or operate businesses. Lots of restaurants have been closed as well. So things have been going into delivery only options. Streets have been very, very quiet, which has been great for running. But there's definitely a lot more people that you see outside walking around on the streets. And overall, there's been this kind of what started as anxiety and now has just kind of become more normal. Things are starting to return back to normal. And now there's almost more of a sense of calm as people are starting to get back into their daily routine and seeing it's not as scary as maybe they initially thought it was or had been.
So does that give you the sense that the worst is behind you, at least where you are?
I've honestly felt safe the whole time I've been here. I've been here the entire time. The city of Shanghai has done a really good job of containing things, putting rules in place to make sure if people travel, they try to do a self-quarantine, at least at the initial start, sometimes now as well. But overall, I think putting the rules in place have made people reassured that things are fine and things are okay, and definitely feel just as safe now as I did 3 weeks ago.
Did you ever give any thought, Lauren, to coming back to the U.S., and have your family, your friends back here been freaking out the whole time, the fact that you're there?
I did get a message from my parents when they started reading articles about drones flying around, telling us to wear masks, which we didn't see any of in Shanghai, maybe some other cities, I'm not sure. But there has been questions of concern. I did think about going back at one point, but more just because our studios were closing for an entire month and we couldn't really work because I manage fitness studios here. So home work is very different than being in the training facility. But I didn't think about coming home out of a need for fear or to escape. It was more just due to lack of work.
All right, well, stay safe. We're glad you are healthy. Thank you so much for coming on with us. Lauren Hogan from Shanghai in China. Thanks so much.